This is a really unusual video for me, and as such, I really had no playlist to put it in. If I end up doing any more of these, I'll have to create something, but for now it stands alone. I'm very critical of religion and politics and social movements. I'm a self-identified atheist and conservative, yet while I've taken plenty of potshots at the right, the one thing I haven't done much of is acknowledge the serious issues that exist within atheism as a movement. I came across this video by a well-deservedly pissed-off atheist who has a channel called IntrovertedSmiles. I've linked to his channel in the description, and please go take a look. But he's got some good points, and I had something to add to what he says, so here goes nothing.
I'm going to go a little bit on a rant here, and I'm just going to tell my honest feelings. And many regressive atheists have been getting into comment battles with me, and I just want to say, I prefer a right-wing Christian over you.
I actually agree wholeheartedly with all of this. See, when it comes to one's positions, everything that you have to say has to stand on its own merits. Just because I might share some views with another individual, that doesn't mean that every position that they hold gets a pass from me, just because we have one thing in common. I find this very commonly with the so-called atheist community, where we do indeed have a lack of belief in gods in common, but where it comes to their political views, we're often pretty much nothing at all alike.
I really do, even though I'm an atheist. I truly do. And you might think that's controversial. You know, all atheists should get along. All I gotta say is, fuck you, regressive left atheists.
Again, he hits the nail on the head. That's something I will never understand. The idea that just because we might share a view in common, that we have to share all views in common, that we have to have each other's back on every aspect, because if we don't, we just don't present a united front. That's bullshit. But then again, my atheism doesn't color every aspect of my life, as it seems to do with a lot of other atheists. I don't pretend that everything in my life falls under the umbrella of atheism. Atheism is atheism. My political views are something else. My social views are something else. My economic views are something else. Just because I think you get one thing right in your life doesn't mean you got all things right in your life. Nobody gets an automatic pass. There probably isn't anyone out there who agrees with me on everything, and that's fine. Don't act like I have to pretend to support you on everything just because you think it makes us look better in some imaginary group. We're all individuals, not a collective.
Because you want to criticize Christianity so much, and you want to leave Islam alone because you think it's somehow racist. All I gotta say is fuck you, because I think you're the true racist. I think you're the true racist that want to keep Muslim people behind. You want them to stick to their beliefs because you're somehow fucking racist in your mind.
That certainly doesn't apply to me. I go after all religions. I think they're all equally stupid. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Christianity, or Islam, or Buddhism, or Scientology. Every single one of them is idiotic, and the people who believe them are delusional and irrational. And he's right. People on the regressive left don't have the slightest idea what race is. Islam is not a race. Islam is a religion. Just because people with a particular skin color are more likely to practice said religion in larger numbers than people with another skin color doesn't make that religion a race. Anybody who thinks it is an idiot.
You don't want to enlighten them. You don't want to give them the same enlightenment that you gave the Christians when you criticized them all over YouTube. Yes, you'll criticize Christians all over YouTube and everything. I understand Christians have bogus beliefs that I don't agree with. You know, I'm an atheist myself.
I don't know that criticizing Christians is meant to enlighten them, though. I certainly don't criticize anyone in hopes that they will learn the error of their ways. Most of the people I go after, be they Christian or Muslims or feminists or conspiracy theorists or libertarians or whatever, they're too deluded to get much use out of my videos. I don't expect any of them to smack themselves on the forehead and go, "Oh yeah, he's right. How could I have been so foolish?" They're not going to do that. To paraphrase the Matrix, some people just aren't ready to be unplugged. Most of the videos I do are intended either to plant the seeds of doubt in the believer, or, more likely, to entertain others watching and maybe make them think about how ridiculous the position I'm actually criticizing is. If I was doing it to enlighten the crazies, well, I just give up because that almost never happens.
But at the same time, I'd rather trust a right-wing Christian over a regressive left atheist. I think a regressive left atheist will stab me in the fucking back.
And you're probably right. That's one thing that happens among the regressive left more than any other group I've ever seen. They eat their own. This becomes painfully obvious when you look at the advent of Atheism Plus, where you had to be ideologically pure across the board in order to be considered a true atheist. That's religion speak right there. The idea that you have to agree with them on all social issues in order to be part of the Atheism Club is absolutely idiotic. Atheism has nothing at all to do with social issues. Atheism is the lack of belief in gods, full stop. It has nothing to do with anything else. You can be a secular humanist and an atheist, but you don't have to be. You can be a liberal and an atheist, but you don't have to be. You can be a conservative and an atheist, but you don't have to be. I just so happen to be, but one isn't dependent on the other. It's when people start to confuse the two, when they start to insist that one requires the other, that we get into trouble, and that's exactly what happened with the regressive left. However, where I disagree is that I wouldn't trust a fundamentalist Christian, period. And it's pretty much for the same reason. Both sides have turned a single position into the overriding factor for their entire lives. They've become fanatics, and fanatics are, by their very nature, untrustworthy.
Because all they want, they think they're so smart that, oh, I can explain Islam in a better way than an ex-Muslim and everything. Muhammad, it's all part of the Abrahamic traditions and we must be politically correct. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, political correctness is just stupid across the board. The idea that you can't ever say anything that offends anyone for any reason, that's just moronic. But the fact is, I can tell you what's wrong with Islam without ever being an ex-Muslim, just like I can tell you what's wrong with every religion under the sun, because there's the same thing wrong with all of them. There's no reason to think that they're true. There's no evidence that any gods of any kind exist in the real world. It's all fantasy. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Christianity, or Islam, or Hinduism, or Jediism for that matter. They all fail when you evaluate them rationally, when you examine them critically and look for objective evidence. There just is none. They're all emotional wishful thinking, nothing more.
Okay, please shut the fuck up. Go start your own YouTube channel and talk about Islam. Go ahead. See how many ex-Muslims laugh at your ragged ass. I just have to let all this steam out. Because just because I'm an atheist, it doesn't mean I agree with you on everything. Any political issues. I think you're a fucking cuckold. I think you're a piece of shit. A pathetic piece of shit, you regressive left atheist.
Nor do you have to. In fact, I'd think, although I really have no way to be sure, but I would think that a lot of the video responses I do, aside from the religious ones of course, are to videos made by atheists. The majority of the political videos, the majority of the social videos, I would think at least, are probably made by atheists. Yet I strongly disagree with the positions that these video makers have, and mostly for the same reasons I disagree with the religious videos I respond to. By and large, they're not operating from a rational framework. They're not acting skeptically. They're not following the laws of logic and approaching things from a critically thought out point of view. It's emotion, not intellect. It's form, not function. And any position that you have that comes from feeling and not thinking is likely to be problematic. I'm almost certain to disagree with you in that case.
That want to tell me I'm trying to fit in with white people too much. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's a problem. For a group that wants everyone to be the same, supposedly anyhow, they sure spend a lot of time making sure everyone sees all the differences, don't they? What color your skin is shouldn't matter. What gender you are shouldn't make a difference. Nobody should care about your sexual orientation. But who spends all their time pointing it out? Yep, the hyper-emotional assholes on both the left and the right. Nobody else cares, so long as everyone has equal rights, except the people who are screaming the loudest that it shouldn't make a difference, yet spend all their time pointing out the differences. Fucking assholes.
And learn about the dangers that Islam brings. Learn about how Allah enslaves the Muslims. okay? And try to criticize Islam and give Muslims that enlightenment. Give them that chance. Stop being a racist fuck. Stop being a stupid cunt and trying to save all the criticism for Christianity. Why don't you criticize Islam? Why? Because you don't want people to be enlightened? Or maybe you're afraid because you're a pussy?
Well, it isn't Allah that does anything because there's no reason to think Allah exists. It's the belief in Allah that enslaves people. It's a technical point to be sure, but it is an important one. And while sure, there might be some reason in certain situations to be justifiably afraid of the crap that radical Islam can pull, especially if you're in a Muslim-heavy environment. I mean, heck, look at all the dead atheist bloggers in Bangladesh, for example. In the West, where we have free speech and a functional secular government, fear of religious retribution is pretty much a non-issue most of the time. It could be, which is one more good reason to oppose radical Islam vigorously, but most of the time, and for most of these regressive left assholes, it just isn't.
It's ridiculous. And you're attacking me? Oh, you didn't study Islam enough. I'm getting these comments from regressive left atheists. Shut the fuck up, okay? Please.
Unfortunately, that's kind of the norm among the overly emotional. They think they have a clue about what they're talking about when demonstrably they don't. All they want to do is reinforce their emotional well-being, whether it's actually true or not. It's like feminists and the gender wage gap. That chestnut has been well and truly debunked in every possible way, but they still trot it out because facts don't matter. They don't care. Being correct isn't as important to them as feeling good. And here again, I can compare the actions of the regressive left to fundamentalist religion because we see the religious apologists doing the same things, repeating blatant falsehoods that have been soundly disproven, but it plays well with the ignorant believers, so they keep doing it. It just keeps getting repeated as fact because they just don't care. I don't know, maybe we should just call them the religious left because they function almost identically. I know this isn't my typical video where I just disagree with almost everything. I think that IntrovertedSmiles has some good points to make, and I had some points to add, so there you go. I think it's important that, even though so much of what I do here on YouTube is negative, pointing out the stupidity in the world and how irrational people are, that when I see something worth supporting, that I do that as well. And I agree with this video almost entirely. There's some minor quibbles here and there, but like I said, I probably don't agree with anyone anywhere 100%. But he points out some of the more serious issues with the supposed atheist community and how they are hypocritical, how they turn on their own, how they attack each other because they're not ideologically pure enough. It's no wonder I want nothing to do with being part of said community because a lot of them, not all by any means, but a lot of them have just as many major philosophical issues as the religious that we're supposed to be fighting against. And that's just sad.